So here we are at Double Eagle, and I have some interesting news. I have finally sold, or more precisely, traded my Lancair IV Turboprop for this Cessna 210, a P210, which means pressurized. And in this particular case, it's a Riley Rocket version, highly desirable. Riley Rocket did a number of improvements to Cessnas, then on the Moonies as well, I believe. And the P210 has the whole Riley Rocket conversion, which I think is a lot to do with intercoolers and so forth. Also has air conditioning, which I'm happy about because we're in New Mexico. So the Cessna 210 is one of the largest singles that Cessna makes in the piston range, because obviously they make single engine turbines, which is called the Caravan. It's technically a 6-seater, but in actuality, you're going to see when I show you the interior, it's more sort of a 4-seater with extra space at the back. I've owned and flown a Cessna 210 before. It was an older version. This one's a 1981. And the previous one I owned, I think, was a 60s model, and it had struts. This one is a strutless one. And for those who are familiar, you know that the spar has to be inspected with two different techniques, I think. But this one was inspected with eddy current, which means it's now good to go for the rest of its lifetime. Hasn't found any faults with the spar. And it's quite a long airplane. I haven't tried fitting it in the T-hangar yet, but it should fit. If it doesn't fit, we can always use it in the community hangar, but I think we'll get it to fit. One of the nice things about the 210 is it has a baggage compartment in the back, in the rear, but I've owned and flown 182s, and they didn't have this. So this is a nice little compartment, and I'll have to look up the limitations, unless there's a placard here. I don't see one. ELT mention here. Oh, here it is. Of course, I wasn't looking in the right place. So maximum baggage, 200 pounds total. In the raised area of baggage door, 80 pounds max. So I guess the raised area is this area here. Okay. Refer to weight and balance for baggage cargo loading, of course, which I'll set up in ForeFlight, so I can do that easily every time. So there, quite a large baggage space, plenty of room for 2 or 3 suitcases, that's for sure. I don't know if a golf bag would fit, maybe on an angle. Here we have the interior, nice leather interior, in really good shape actually. Maybe a minor scratch there from scuffing, but overall very nice. As I said before, 6-seater in theory, because you're very comfortably in here 4 people. As you can see, plenty of space behind here, plenty of leg room, and these seats can travel forward like this, but there's a symbolic back bench here, and I say symbolic because well, no, actually, if you move the back seats forward, it gives a bit more clearance, but probably a couple of children would be comfortable back there, but 6 adults in here, I'm not sure that's such a good idea. And so here we have the avionics, the cockpit. Let me get in to show you guys. So the plane is new to me. I've flown 210s before. This one is pressurized, obviously. It's got all kinds of goodies. Down here we have the breakers, avionics switch, door seals switch. Here, all the nomenclature. So the 210 sits higher. And I'll just leave the camera here and show you I'm 6'2", 6'1", who knows. And I have to just drop my head a little bit. I've got clearance. So here you can see me. I touch a little bit, but I haven't really lowered the seat yet. So let's see if I can do that. Oh, that's where I lowered the back of the seat. So now I have a little bit more clearance. Let's pull forward. Yeah, plenty of clearance here. Plenty of visibility above the nose. Now on the 210, it's renowned for you need to land it with the nose up pretty aggressively, more so than in a 182 or a 172. So you really need to be pulled back. So it's a good idea to sit back in your seat, not be forward, because if you're in a forward position, you'll inadvertently land with the wheels too flat, or maybe even on the nose. So you don't want to do that. So you really have to kind of lean back and relax when you do your landing. And probably I would pull my seat a little bit more forward, actually, to here. Well, as you can see, we have 6 seats, very nice and comfortable. Plenty of room back here. I guess you could, if you're transporting something, pull the seats out. There's a nice big door to get in and out of. So that's good. And then also another feature on the 210 is there's this basically emergency exit here, where you take this handle, turn it, and then you can open and you can do an emergency type egress for the passenger, but you're not meant to go in and out this way. So that's an interesting feature. So that's an interesting feature, and then you just lock it and it stays that way. You could probably also use it for venting on the ground, but this has air conditioning, so you wouldn't really need to do that. Cabin pressure. Is that the differential? I'm not sure. No, feet per minute. Cabin. We have multiple attitude indicators. This one's electric. This one is vacuum pumped, or vacuum pump driven, gyroscopic. We've obviously got the HSI in the middle. We've got an electric turn coordinator. So some nice redundancy here. Altimeter, VSI. We even have a radar altitude, or altitude radar. We'll see how well that works. We have an old ADF. Not many people use those anymore, but it's here. Here's the control for it. What do we have up here? We have an indicator for the autopilot. Gives the different modes. The Collins DME, interesting. Here is the actual autopilot. And we have a bunch of switches underneath here. We even have a radar strike. A WX11, we'll see if that works. I'll figure it out. Then we have an EDM JPI. And this is great. This is modern. Engine monitor and everything. Substitutes for all the engine instruments. A couple of cigarette lighters over here. Oh, there's a little glove box. I'll check that later. And then of course we have the Avionics, the main deal, which is a 530 WAS and a 430 WAS, and then a transponder GTX 330 with a DSB out, and then we have the audio panel. And then above here we have the air conditioning controls, the oxygen masks, and that's the same in the back here as well. There's some nice headlining. I'm back at the hangars, or my hangar, with the 210 that I just flew. I just did my regulatory 3 takeoffs and 3 landings in order to be current to fly with passengers during the day. And my 3 landings were 2 touch and goes and 1 full stop. If I wanted my night currency, I would have to do 3 full stop landings. They don't want you doing touch and goes at night. Too much going on, considering, so too much going on, you don't need the additional impairment of low visibility outside and in the cockpit. So that's why they have that restriction at night. As you can see, nice, big and comfortable, and it's a large plane. For the single engines, they don't make them much bigger than this. I mean, they're in the piston range. The only one I can think of is the Malibu, which is the piston Piper cabin class, which is maybe on my bucket list, but this will do for now. And so it's one of the heaviest as well, at 2,700 pounds. And I don't know if you can see here, but there's a slight incline to get up to the hangar. I think we're going to fit in the hangar. This wing protrudes a bit from this side, but I need to get the airplane aligned better because I think I have plenty of room on the other side. Yeah, should be fine. Plenty of room this side. So I'm going to measure it anyway, just to be sure, before I go to the painstaking task of trying to push this thing uphill and get it into the hangar. But it flew like a champ, a lot of power. I didn't use all the power. I was apprehensive. I was apprehensive about using all the power. I mean, it's just a lot of power. And it's only me in the airplane and half fuel, so I really didn't feel like that was necessary. So I did it a little bit on the runway at full RPM. And it was amazing. Well, actually not full RPM, full manifold pressure. Went up to 36. Amazing manifold pressure. The Riley Rocket indeed lives up to its rocket name. And I felt that acceleration as I was taking off the speed. But then, as soon as I was flying and climbing decently, there wasn't no need for all that power. So I brought it back to the recommended 31 inches of manifold and 2,500 RPM. I mean, no need in screaming all the way. I was just staying in the pattern, doing my currency, going through the procedure of bringing the gear up, doing my GUBS check, gas undercarriage mixture prop safety, 3 times in a row, and it worked out great. The controls on the Cessna 210, if you're used to flying a Cessna 172, is like night and day. If you're familiar with the 182, the difference between the 182 and the 172, well, there's just about as much difference between the 182 and the 210 as there is between the 182 and the 172. But yeah, solid airplane, comfortable. I could feel that it wasn't being impacted as much by turbulence as a lighter airplane. I mean, it really does well. All right, let's see if we can get it back in the hangar. Well, we got it into the hangar, but I wouldn't have been able to do it single-handedly. It's pretty heavy, and there's a slope here. So I tried like building momentum and that, and nah. Maybe a younger version of myself could have got it to go halfway up the hill, but I would have still ended up stuck here in this rut. So 3 of us pushed it in, and it fits in a regular T hangar, so that's good. So what I'll end up doing is most likely buying a little electric tug that I can clamp onto the front tire so it can push the airplane back into the hangar.